still painting these 6 Stormfiends from Skaven for Age of Sigmar. And I'm getting to the most interesting part, and also a part that requires, I believe, a bit more planning in the execution. So I will begin with just a simple step, if you wish, than the core work of what is left, really. And what is left, as you can see, is this warpstone. So I will have them glowing green, and also all the OSL, so the projection of the light, the green light, on the model itself. And so I've been deliberating with myself, should I do the stone first and the OSL after? But because I will use an airbrush to do the OSL, seems to me, although I like a bit of airbrushing, especially on the edges of the stone, just to darken them very smoothly, it seems that I will still do the OSL first and then the stones, because they're not so big, and I believe it's all right. So we have to do this first. But before that, a small warm-up to start the painting day. You see, like, these 6 guys here, they have kind of thinner pipes, and these 2 here, they kind of have this version that is leathery and with cracks. And so here I will have the first pass with this color, Magnolia Negra, or Black Lotus from Vallejo, Express Color, which is the equivalent of contrast paint. And then I will again go in the cracks, just like I did, for instance, for the scar here, went into the cracks with this greenish white from AK. So mixing them slightly like this has to be pretty strong, so it's easier off camera. Although I use them every day, so it's not like I have too much time to split, but I always enjoy little mixing with the vortex mixer. So it is that noisy because my child made this fall, and so here you see it's broken somewhere, can't remember where, and so that's why it's so noisy. Nonetheless usable, so here we go. Yes, this is a section of the painting that requires, I believe, a lot of contemplation and thinking, just to be sure to do the steps in the most efficient order. Although that's the pros and cons. If I use the airbrush, I will have some quicker start for sure, but then I will have to go back to redoing these white recesses. But it's always easier when you already have a good base coat, so that's why I still did the base coat, knowing that I will have to redo it after the airbrush pass. Never mind. And so that's my palette here. What is this paint here? Is it what I'm about to use? I believe so. I think it's the paint I need for today, so very good. Obla here. Metallics, all the blacks here and grays, and greenish white, and yellows and browns. Here browns too that I use for the teeth. So that will be my first pass with this Black Lotus. Here I want to darken the pipes. So this is really easy, no problem. It's good to start the day. In fact, I will keep my surely the airbrush step for after my lunch break. This is already very dark, so it's very quick. But the other direction here, the top, has taken some airbrush that when I airbrushed the skin. And so it's better just to get back to something cleaner. And I use the contrast just to keep some of that work I have done to get the detail on these pipes. I want the detail to still remain when you pay close attention to it, but not popping in your face. You see here, it's too light. So here, a good pass, pretty thick. Really, here doesn't require precision or anything. I think it looks instantly better. Also more punch, a bit more saturation. But darker at the same time. Beautiful color. I think Black Lotus is a must-have or an equivalent if you have affection for any other brand. It's true that now I would try the AK range. I have recently changed from Vallejo that I have used for most of my journey, but I switched to AK, and I think AK are pretty incredible. I haven't tested their contrast range. I think it's a quick gen, how they brand it. I'm pretty sure it must be very good too, but I'm also very happy with the Vallejo ones. So it's not that urgent change. So the pass can be pretty light, no worry. Just want to reestablish some darker. In fact, you see here, it's kind of a highlight. So I'm happy to keep that as well. So the pipe is not entirely black, monochrome. There is still some variation on it. Exactly what I want. And it's good to have this easy task before I do the airbrushing and start working on the OSL. It requires more brain power really to go through that and just figure out the logic steps in the most efficient order. Now I'm reloading the palette because I had just a little bit left on the palette. So fresh paint is always the best. So first I use the paint left from yesterday. It always loses the best properties, but it's for what I'm doing here, it doesn't matter. But now I'm happy to reload and have a go. Should be, yes, a lot darker, a lot more concentrated. And when you let the paint, especially this Black Lotus from Vallejo, it would become more blue rather than a black, which is fine for what I'm doing. But you see here, I need a lot less to tint this surface. Okay. trying to get everything, although here that's pretty hard to get to. The problem is that, oh yeah, on a picture, everything will show. And because I share on the internet, the pictures have to be good, have to look good. That requires a good amount of detailing everywhere. Of course, you would have them in hand. All of these mistakes you would not see because the brain is just making it better for you. But in the pictures, all the small defects and imperfection will just pop. And but I think that's good. It just pushes you to better. Had pretty nice sleep of night. What am I saying? A pretty nice night sleep or whatever. I had a good sleep this night, so I'm ready. Yesterday I was pretty tired. Maybe you went to bed too late, and so it was pretty hard to paint. This is cerebral activity. I would say pretty intense, not much physical, although you have to have the endurance to stay sat for sometimes. Yesterday I did 2 sessions of 2.5 hours. That was very demanding. So this first session is going to be shorter, and then I will come back in the afternoon. I think I will be airbrushing straight the whole afternoon. So this is not something I want to do in the evening. Preferably not if I have no choice, like if I'm in a hurry or what, I would. But if I can avoid it, just because the airbrush is great, but it's easy to get carried over and paint for longer. But then if you're past midnight and you still have to clean the airbrush and everything, that's why you just want to go to sleep. If you can avoid that, just do this gift to yourself. Do yourself a favor, I think. You're worthwhile. So here, I don't hesitate to have pretty dark elements because it will contrast even more with the glow from the crystals. And that's also why you see the tone. I go with the black, and this is dark metallic, and the fur is gray, dark blue, gray, almost black, as well as the here the cloth, because it will just contrast even more, and with the crystals it will help the crystals pop out even more. So I think it's pretty. Look at this here. It's not completely dark, but it's a lot more toned down compared to the previous version. So I think I will have it like this. And not against some highlights here. I think it's pretty neat, in fact. And now just compare with this one that hasn't been done yet. Yeah, for instance, here is just too much, too light. So it will end up like this, which is a lot more reasonable, I believe. Still a highlight, but a lot more measured. So here it's an undiluted coat of the paint that I use just on the palette, so it will get diluted to an amount naturally just being on the palette, the wet palette I mean, but I can stretch it further, and without the water I stick to consistency. You see it's not flowing all around, not pooling in the recesses, and so that's why I don't thin it down. I would just want a uniform coat on these pipes. I took also a bigger brush because this doesn't require precision. So no need to go for, that's my synthetic brush, very good for this kind of contrast paint. They go very far in the bristles and to the core of the brush. And so for this kind of application, it's good to take a synthetic brush and not sacrifice, just, yeah, not sacrifice or protect your nicer brushes. Also, I would use the contrast with sable brushes when I have no choice. When I need precision work done with a contrast paint. So of course I'm not using the contrast, I'm using the Vallejo ones. I think they are a lot thinner and it's better for what how I use them. Trying to do a comprehensive job here on the pipe. Because it's hard to access, but yes, here we go. Yes, and the front. So I can, although it's not a super thin brush, you see I can still do some clean job here because the sculpt is very marked, so on the pipe and the blobes, and so it's very easy. I like it so much better with the dark pipes. Okay. Really considering how I will do this, the OSL. I really feel I have to start with the airbrush. Of course, that will be a very careful application because I have a lot of details already. Okay, so really that's just a promenade. It's not hard at all. So it's really pleasant, instant gratification. And the pipes are done, and so now I will do all the cracks. I will take my thinner brush and go in all the cracks to have this white highlight. In fact, I think I will also do this kind of these areas here where you have this kind of junction and that could also be glowing. So here, this ball here, because these are containing the warpstone stuff, ammunition. Let me check on how many molds that would be. So this one has some, maybe just where it makes sense. Yeah, oops, maybe a little bit here. Ooh, okay. I forgot the gun here. I've forgotten. So, okay, let's start already. Let's begin now. It is this greenish white again, preparing the base coats on 6 of these Stormfiends for Skaven in the universe of Age of Sigmar. Right, that's my, yes, work horse. This one, sable, with a pretty thin tip, although the work is really affecting the tip, of course. So just trying to preserve. All right, I will start with this that I have just noticed that I have missed before. So just like this. The inside too is pretty hard to get to, but I will do it regardless. Oh yeah, this, why is there nothing? Oh, because it's connected here. Okay. Here inside, and then I won't do too much because it will dry. It will dry. And now I load my paint, and because it's wet, it should go into the recesses very easily. And it does indeed, just like this. And that's the work to prepare the glowing effect. First, a solid. So this looks white, but this is greenish white. Oh, nice. You see that in the recess over there? Now it's lit. So there was 1, 2, 3, and this one is busy, so that's why there's nothing. I will do this kind of here, maybe not too much. Well, let me check. Maybe I will do it at the end to see if I need some lights here and there. Once these crystals and OSL are done, I will see where I could have a hint of green, like in these areas, just to kind of have a reminiscence of the green. But I want to keep the balance and the focus on the crystals. Okay, so I will get some water in all these recesses. Let's get it on the whole pipe like this. Getting the whole pipe wet. I trusted that the previous coat of paint was dried. I think no problem. Yep, and now I will give it some touches here and there to kind of flood the recesses with this white. Oof. Okay, I'm not against the diffusion of it around, so we have this kind of OSL effect. Here though, I think it's too much, like too flooded, and so it's going everywhere but not in the recess. Yes, okay, so that's too much water, I believe. Okay, I will just use my brush to soak the water. So now I have dried up my brush. This is pretty dry, and I'll just soak up the excess. And that should do. And because it's drier, I will add a little bit of water in this. So this may be overlooked, the consistency of the paint, but that's the only thing that can enable you to do this kind of work, is to understand what you need for what job. And you know, of course you always have a sense of what it should be, but then you trial and errors will confirm and help you take the best route. Okay. Bit more water, like this is not flowing at all. Yes, better. More water, more paint will make my life easier. So now I'm pretty sure that's too much, but I will give it a try. Yes, I get this intensity now from the first pass, which is a lot more comfortable. And I can take the risk to just be, of course, the cleaner the better, but because it's on black, this is and it's not worked like with highlights and something, so I don't really care. It's easy to correct, that's what I mean. So I would favor speed over precision, well, although a balance of the two is the best, but there are so many cracks in there. If I don't try to keep the rhythm, then that's painting the recesses again. Prepare for the glowing green like you see on the base. That will be everywhere, or you have like the white base coat in the crystals. Good preparation will just make my life easier for the rest. Okay. Oof. I hate that when it's going around but not inside the recess. Oops. Okay. So again, because I'm on a black surface that is easy to correct, I don't really care if I'm not that precise, because there are so many cracks. I favor speed over cleanliness. Of course, trying to be the cleanest as possible. It's always quicker. But it's also a matter of energy. Keeping my energy for the more demanding tasks. Okay. In fact, here I could cut everything with the dry brush and get all these edges. I could do kind of a light, dark gray dry brush. So that's why I'm not too stressed about putting some paint outside of these recesses. If anything, that's some kind of glowing and some how do you say that? One irregularity that would bring some interest. But really, that's really a shabby pipe because it's so cracked everywhere. No maintenance from these guys at all. Worse than orcs. Wow, you see my tip is not thin at all, but it seems to be working, so whatever. Just do what works. Because the paint is very diluted, it doesn't really mark. Like so here it's okay. It doesn't really mark on the black, but it gathers in the recess. That's why it still has a good effect here. And also, like this kind of white veil adds an effect of transparency that can be very cool. Whew. That is just for one pipe on one guy, and then I have the second pipe on the same guy, and then another 2 or 3 pipes on the second guy. So that's why here that's what I have done for the first batches. If you go see on my channel, I have painted Skaven before, and so they are from the same army. So in fact, this is a commission painting for a customer, so he needs painting services that I provide to him. And I've done some of them, I've done individually, fully, and then going to the next. Hey, Dr. Sharknome, how are you doing? Yes, I'm having a great time painting. In fact, I'm very grateful that some people trust me with the painting because I can be painting and say that I'm working, but in fact, it's more like I'm being paid to learn and experience. And the more you practice, the more you're able to put on the model the ideas that you have in your mind. So there is that. And of course, the more successful you are at achieving your vision, the more satisfying. And so, like I said, I'm just grateful. And with practice, in fact, I think that's just the thing with painting, which I find amazing, is the more you paint, the better you become. You always try to do better. And so the hardship, I would say, remains. But the gratification just gets higher and higher. Of course, I would believe that would be true for any expertise you develop. Okay, I think that's good enough. But you see here at the back, I still have a lot to do. I don't know if you see what I'm painting, but I'm very limited with the angle I can approach it because it's very inaccessible. But because, oh my God, yeah, maybe I need more water just to make it feel better in the recesses. Okay, I'll try like this. Maybe that's too much. So I won't hit them all, but just here, because when you turn the model, you will see these guys here, these cracks. Okay, and these guys here. Oopla, here it's better. Okay, let's do it like this. So it's really not a clean job, but given that this pipe is really far away here, really hard to get to, and not the most visible, something tells me that it's good enough of an effort. Okay, so it's a very dirty job I have done here and there, I will correct that later, but it's just too tricky, this. And well, I would really, if I had to do it for a competition, but I cannot even see the cracks here, so just trusting that it will fall in the recesses, and I will correct that later with the black. Of course, these recesses, white recesses, are pretty tricky. Yeah, so I would rather do quick and clean up rather than very long. That's good enough, really. And then this one, whew, that will be comparatively easier. It's a shame. Let me check the second model that I will have to paint as well. This is yeah, okay, there is no tricky cable like this. So oh, maybe here, yes, at the back slightly, but not as hard as this one though, because it's very obvious here. It will require to be cleaner. So different parameters. Anything can be done though, so no problem. All right, let's go. Okay. So even if it's not extremely precise, that's good enough. I will clean up afterwards. So if you have followed several streams, you have noticed that that's a lot of preparation work before the actual glowing effects. Especially that I do it on 6 miniatures we have here. So that's kind of a fumble here. Anyways, it's all right. Okay. More water, definitely more water is needed here. Yes, here we go. Wiping with the finger while it's wet, here it works. Depends if you're ready to spread the paint around or if you don't want to take the risk. Here I don't care, it's just almost black, and I will rework on that later. So just cleaning up. I'm already settled on cleaning up the mistakes, that's why. It's okay also if I have different intensities of coverage for different areas, because that will give different intensity of green, and so that's a bit of variety to break the rhythm. I think that's what I'm trying to work now. It's not the effect itself, it's some more organic effects, which means it's not everything to the same intensity. Okay. Hi, Odrol, and thank you for your kind words. Looking great. Thank you. It's not finished. And I'm keeping the best for the last. The OSL and the green crystals, warpstone, that will really bring all the mood. Well, although here I think there is something here. I have good shadows, but I will strengthen that later. First, I do all the boring work. That's also a way to keep the motivation painting, keeping the best for last. And it combines with the most efficient logic. Of course, you do the OSL and lightning effects at the end, because it will cover the armor and everything. just covering the recesses because they will be glowing green, and they need a solid coat. Well, more or less solid, just like I said earlier, but at least a coat of white to pop. And yes, now I have the perfect consistency on my brush. Can leave some good paint in the recesses. It doesn't really mark the surroundings like this. I think I will clean that with a dry brush. And okay, let me clean my brush. Like fully clean, you see, like this, so that the white paint doesn't dry on the brush. You can scrap a little bit. It's just a brush maintenance, because the white paints, they're quite horrendous. Although here it's a greenish white, here greenish white from AK. A lot of white pigments, and so you see here there is one bristle that is, I don't know if you see in the middle, this one here, it has some white on it because the paint has dried on the bristle, which is not surprising, and that would go away with some brush soap that I have, but I won't clean the brush with soap right now. I'm just going to continue. Well, welcome on this channel. So here I'm painting these miniatures. They are for Age of Sigmar, not 40k, but I do both and more. So here, yes, the eyes. The eyes is, I understand. I get myself pretty close to the miniature, maybe 10, 15 centimeters. But I would say if you have issues with the smallest details, could use the properties of the sculpts to help you. You will have a flow that would, a wash that would flow into the recesses, and then a dry brush that would just stick to the edges, and that would draw the outline of the miniature without having to stick. To be fair, here I see the cracks, but it's pretty hard to spot. And so here I will use the paint, which is pretty diluted. And let's see how it does in the recesses. Oof. Of course, I have no tips, so that's a problem. But here is just kind of, I'm just hitting and it flows into the recesses. And when I wipe, what is left is the paint in the recesses. I will have more water. And the question, if I play, I don't. I think I've had maybe one game at a Games Workshop store when I was a teenager. And that's all. I haven't really have taken the time to play, but now that I paint and I make dioramas. So if you haven't checked my channel, you would see that I make dioramas, full videos from scratch. And so that's what I spend my time on. I don't think I've ever tried a magnifying glass. For me, it was what did I try? Maybe I tried something. Oh yes, I did. I did because I was offered when I was a teen. Well, in my 20s, so not really a teen anymore. But I mean, it's kind of the same. Well, I was offered a lamp with, so it's like a glass and two LEDs on the sides. So, and I tried, and it was very hard to for me to navigate the brush through the lens. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It feels a bit unnatural, as if I was looking at my screen to navigate the brush here. I don't know if you have this sensation, kind of like a cat walking with socks on. Yeah, okay. Way too much water, but I am not panicking because I will clean up and because it's very diluted, it's going into the recesses and it's not really marking the area where it's not. So here at the end of the paint job, well, the end of this, I'm kind of losing patience. That's why I went for these big sloppy blobs. Happens. I think sometimes you just have to accept. It's a bit of a mental weakness for sure. But well, I've been painting for an hour, and so it's okay. Here wiping, I have waited a bit before wiping, so the paint can sort of dry a little bit. It's pretty clean, in fact, now that it's wiped, so I'm not very worried here because here on this black pipe, I haven't worked at all on the pipe, so well, there was I think a dry brush and a pass of contrast paint, and that's very quick, so I don't really have anything to protect. That's what I mean. Oh, okay. Card game, I see, and the white highlights. So yeah, the white highlights really are just the base for the green, and that will be coming just like you can see on the base here. And yes, developing a card game. Okay, well, I cannot give any feedback on the card game because I barely play, but must be a lot of work to create the system that is fun to play, the universe and everything. That must be, well, just like painting, hours and hours and hours. Well, maybe hundreds of hours, I would say, especially for me, like creating a gaming system. I'm not able to do that at all, so impossible for me. The mechanics and stuff. When I play a game, I want somebody to tell me how it's played, and then within 5, maybe 3 minutes, and let's go, let's play. So I'm not at all that rule guy. And that's why also I think I don't play Warhammer. Although I think, you know, the people I know, they're pretty welcoming, like the Warhammer community. So they would be eager to teach, but yes, I've picked my free time. Okay, so somebody's calling me to, I don't know if you can hear the noise in the background. It's my offspring calling me to go and eat, so I'll have to finish that, and then I will do another live in the afternoon, where it will be the afternoon for me. Yeah, here I have read to hurry up. I feel the tension rising because I have to go and get lunch. I'm compelled to. Okay, yes, I will stop here. I don't want to get into any troubles, and I will continue after lunch. Oh, Texas, USA, nice. I'm French. I'm a Frenchman. Yes, well, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed. I will be back like in 40 minutes to an hour if you guys still want to hang around. And I wish you the best. I don't know if it's day or night where you are, but have a good time, guys, and see you in the next one.